Hi guys, it's a beautiful day, but look at the frost. Oh, it's a cold one. Went training on Tuesday, but actually got called off for today. Kind of glad about it because I feel like I have to go, but I was running around with the lads doing their Bronco test with them. I'm an active coach. I like to get involved in the training, but yeah, fair play to them because I can feel the burning in my lungs right now. The sun's shining though. Looks lovely. But yeah, it's not safe to train on because it's like an ice rink. It's one of the Astro pitches, the new 4G ones. Not 4G on the phone, but it would be too dangerous to train on. I'm after zooming into my face. But yeah, I'm wrapped up because, well, it may look really nice outside, and it is, but it's cold. But I want to talk about today, it's kind of in bits and pieces, I know, but so I was talking about the generation Zoomer, Gen Z, are they weak? And my generation, and I think yes, we talked all about that, but I'm someone who doesn't like to talk about a problem without, thinking of a solution. And I'd also like to ask if anyone has any examples, put them down below. Are there any good men in your life? Because I put a thing up there talking about, I literally just posted it there, but it's asking, what does it mean to be a real man? And a disclaimer, I'm absolutely not claiming to be a real man. I am far away from that, but we all have our opinions. If you've got any examples of good men and why, post it. It might help someone, say what they did, how it helped you, why you looked up to them. And even if you're a woman and you looked up to someone like your dad or your brother, post it. Everybody, tell us, let us know, and maybe someone will see it and aspire to be like that when they're older, you know what I mean? Or maybe even they're older but they'd like to change some things about themselves. Post it and we'll see. Somebody might get something from that. Sorry, 1 second guys. So yeah, if you've got any examples of people you looked up to, and women as well, let's give a shout out to everyone. Because in fairness, I think a lot of strong women have had to pick up the slack because of weak men leaving households, which is sad to say, but it's true. It's something I know all too well about. My poor mother had to do it, so. But I think the reason why I'm saying, if you've got good examples of good men, put them in, and I started with that, is because a lot of good women have stepped up, fair play to them, but they shouldn't have to. But sadly they have, and we've kind of come to accept it. Yeah, good boy. So that's why I have respect for women, because I was raised by a good woman, But even in my friend group, I know at least 4 other guys who weren't raised by their biological father. Now, some of them have somebody else, but some of them don't, and it certainly was very messy before they got a father figure in their lives. And I don't think we realise the importance of it. People just seem to go, sure, you didn't have a dad, it's tough, but get on with it. I don't think anyone realises how fucking damaging it is. Because you see young fellas going around and they want to be the hard man, they want to be seen as the tough guy. This fake shit that they go on with. Not having a man who keeps them in check. Because, yeah, my mother keeps their son in check, but that's just kind of seen as because that's what mothers do, They care, they want to keep you out of trouble. But then there's the attitude of boys will be boys. So if you see your dad carrying on that way, you're going to fucking act that way as well. If you see him being disrespectful, like, not only was my dad not there a lot of the time, but the attitude he taught me was a very disrespectful one. And some of the jokes like that we said before, back and forth to each other, it's kind of like, fucking hell, did I really say that? But it's normalised, and I take responsibility for that, you know. That was on me. And you just think, oh, it's a joke, but if he kind of goes, it's okay, you think it's okay. You see the way he carries on, and you think it's alright to do that. You know, because it's normalised. I could say, oh, well, do you not want to be better? Yes. But I had to learn and kind of go, fuck, I don't want to act like that. And I want to keep a relationship with him, but there's so many things about him that I don't like. But to keep a conversation going, if you call him out on anything, it's usually a case of, oh, I'm only having a laugh. And there's definitely things that I think are good about this generation. So yeah, we could say all the negatives, sure, but I definitely think Gen Z are more respectful of women. You could say that I'm completely wrong on that, but it's certainly not the case of the man goes off to work, comes home and the house is clean, the children are washed and fed. You know, there's a lot of these memes that go around of, oh, when Grandad's dinner wasn't on the table at exactly 5 p.m. or whatever, and it's like the woman was living on her nerves because the husband was a prick. That was the reality for a lot of women, and that's why I really I can't really regret, because it wasn't my fault, but my mum's father, my maternal grandfather, seemed to be a phenomenon. Like, lots of people, like our friends, even called him dad, which showed that they obviously loved him and saw him as a male role model. I just think of all the things he could have shown me, as I say, it made me a better man. But look, that's what if, not possible. So I also try and think of it in a different way. You look at my mum's brother, my uncle, someone who I always looked up to because he's the big strong fella, you know. He worked as a bouncer, he was a rugby player, tough guy, you know. And in fairness, I take some of those values from him, of standing up for when you see women getting attacked, when you see families getting attacked, and I have stood up before, and that's something he has done. So, you know, fair play to him. He is big and he's strong, but he left our cousin, you know. He abandoned him and he left him, you know, and didn't know where he was. And then when our cousin was going to meet up with him, he just didn't show. I was like, oh, why doesn't he want to see me? He's like, because he's not holding out much hope that you'll be there. So that was a shocker for me as well, particularly knowing that he's our granddad's son. You think of all the good things that he learned growing up, but I asked my mum, why do you think he turned out the way he did? And she said, because he was spoiled. So I kind of think, would me and my brother have been spoiled and then being ungrateful little shits? Because there are times where I feel like, yeah, things are much better in a lot of ways, and am I just an ungrateful little shit? No. I appreciate a lot, and actually being grateful for stuff makes you feel happier. Because you're like, yeah, look, things are very good in a lot of ways now. And I think Gen Z need to actually be grateful. But I certainly think we're more respectful. We're certainly more tolerant. Sorry, just a bit of frost. We're definitely more tolerant. I think that goes without saying, doesn't it? Like, it has never been a better time to be gay or trans or any of these things, which is a good thing, you know. But there's people who are using that to infringe on the rights of others, which I don't think is fair. I've got no issue with your preferred sexuality, or whatever pronouns you want to use, as long as you're respectful of me, do whatever you want to. Identify as a fish if you want, a female fish or whatever I couldn't care less about that. You're not bothering me, fine. You want me to call you a certain thing, grand, but don't bite my head off when I forget. That's something where I agree with the older generation of how sensitive we are. I'm guilty of it myself. Now, some of the comments in this, I just think like people are being dickheads and then saying, "Oh, you're just too sensitive." No, there's certain shit that I just don't think we should tolerate, and I'm not going to apologise for that. You might want to tolerate it, that's up to you, but I'm not going to. So don't judge me for not tolerating it. But yeah, like the solutions, I mean, it's no one thing, but I think there's a lot that needs to be done. Need more good role models, for sure, in particular men. I think the women have raised generations of kids on their own, and a lot of men have not been good fathers. As they say, you speak to a lot of fellas now that grow up without a father in the home, and it fucks you up. It really does. Messes you up a lot. And if there's no one in the family, like no good male role model, you look for them somewhere else. Because like, even if there's no dad in the home, there might be an uncle or your granddad, or, as I say, I think I might actually be one of the best people to speak about a lack of male role models, because not only did I not have any, but I had bad ones. I had ones that just didn't have patience to teach me anything. Wish we'd had more time with our neighbour Kevin, as I was speaking about him. He was a good lad. Come on, I'm in the middle of the road. Good lad. He was a really good lad, but didn't get to know him for very long. Like, I remember before, just on a side note, but when I worked in JD Sports, I remember being given a task of greeting people at the front door, and I thought, oh man, I hate this. And then my manager, I was like, "Oh, what do you want me to do?" And he was like, "Oh, just be confident," and all, like saying, "Oh, hi, have a nice day," and all. I was like, oh, fucking hell, be fake all day with everyone. But when he said, "Oh, just be confident," that's what my dad said to me before. I was kind of like, how? I remember thinking that was the most useless thing anyone could say, is like, just do it. Which is ironic because we sold a lot of Nike merchandise. But it's just be a man. That's like kind of what people are saying. How? You've nothing to base it on. And I gave a great quote by David Coach there. Anyone remember that film Grounded? It has the kid from Bad Santa in it. Grounded or Unattended Minors. Bit of a dodgy title. I prefer Grounded, definitely. But sorry, let me just show you and I get back. Same field, but different day. Alfie's certainly enjoying it, ain't you, little man? Good boy. Oh, it's frozen over there as well, you see? It's definitely it's a frosty one. Oh, he's fascinated by ice. Good boy. Good boy. Mm. Oh. But David Koechner says, now he's quite a harsh critic of his stepson, the kid from Bad Santa. That poor kid gets mistreated in every movie he's in. But he says when he's playing with an Aquaman doll, men are made, not born. And I think it's a very good quote. I know it's a weird one, but I think it's genius. Like, basically what it means to me, at least, is you were influenced by the people in your life, you aspire to be like certain people. Um, you need that. You need to aspire to something. You want to be like somebody. You don't want to be them, but you like their morals. You think, I would like to be like them. You literally see it, like, remember with Mike Tyson and Gus D'Amato, who took him in and adopted him, and you can see the difference. He trained like he'd never trained before. He was respectful. He was getting all the food ready in the house, having had absolutely nobody. He was robbing, he was selling drugs, whatever. Gus D'Amato got him on the straight and narrow, got him, he showed him respect, showed him kindness, took him into his home, firm but fair, and he was great. And then you see when Gus D'Amato died, how Mike Tyson, like, he fell completely off the horse, went off the rails, whatever you want to say. But you see how not having him there, but now having the skill set to cause damage. Now I know you have to be your own fella as well, but you think to yourself, if he'd been around just a bit longer through those formative years, and then you consider all the negative influences like Don King, it's a good example to use, you know. It doesn't have to just be your dad or whatever, you're not screwed, but certainly helps. And like, then I have friends who have both parents in the household but are just terrible, you know, bad parents, and the person has no confidence because they're not getting anything of any value. So there's lots of scenarios that play out. But I think a big thing now, and I talked about it before, I said, like, you just have to win, but it doesn't matter how you get there, and that's something we've really seen. And we've been sold a lot of bullshit, you know, like when you see Olympians or bodybuilders or whatever, and they get to the top and they succeed and they make it seem like a fairy tale, when in reality the person was an absolute prick to everyone. They treated everybody like shit. They abused drugs heavily. They had the influence of people, and that's how they won. They got to the top by cheating, not by playing fair as they all love to claim. It's all virtue signalling. There's a lot of that, and we're actually seeing it now. Everybody teaches you to play by the rules, and then you realise it's a lot of bullshit. And I think everybody kind of sees that and is like, oh, well, it doesn't matter how hard I work, because it doesn't mean I'm going to get what I want. I have to cheat and I have to, you know, take drugs and don't play fair, bend the rules, because that's what you got to do. Because the world is far from ideal in many ways. But then there's this thing of participation medals, you know, where everyone's a winner. And I've heard this one mentioned a lot, and it's true. It's like, if you never learn that if you don't put in the effort, you're not going to get the rewards, well, then you're going to think, oh, I'm just entitled to this stuff. I'm entitled to be a winner. Everyone gets a medal. No, I think, without being too harsh, you do have to teach people. I mean, then again, I talk about it, I'm kind of contradicting myself if I say you have to teach people the hard work pays off. We're telling people it does, because that's the answer that you want to give people. But it's not the reality, it's not the truth. Because saying I take a shit ton of steroids and, you know, I abuse people, I manipulate and cheat my way to the top, and that's why I'm a winner. You're not going to get cheered, you're going to get booed. It's not popular to say that. It's play by the rules, eat your vegetables, and you'll be a winner like me. Not abuse a shit ton of steroids and buy the judges. Like, I mean, look at all the Olympic Games that happen, how corrupt they are. As I was talking about the football, look how human rights are just not a thing in football, because that stadium that got, like all the stadiums that got built in Qatar, how many migrant workers over there died from exhaustion, treated like absolute shit just to build their fancy stadium. How many businessmen are ruling sport now who don't understand what it's like to be a sportsman? They're running it like a business, so there's no soul in it anymore. I think people are just seeing the soul being taken out of everything. Everything is a business, everything is about maximising productivity. You're not allowed to just be you. We're encouraged to be fake, we really are. And everyone's terrified of being wrong or admitting they're wrong. So, good boy, come on. Like, if you're never just allowed to be you, and you're criticised and asked, why didn't you do this? And come on. I'd actually like to give you a good example. So, rugby is brilliant for analogies, but I think this one is very true. So talked about it in Ireland before, how we tend to want people to play in a system. We tend to not work with what we have and how we get the best out of a player who's a bit unique. We tend to go, oh no, you have to fit this mould or we're not picking you. Which is why I think we're lacking in a lot of creativity. But I remember going to the Leinster training camp and just talking to coaches. Yeah, come on, good boy, come on. Yeah. Good boy. I remember going to that training camp for all us coaches to get our badges, our stage 1 badges. And we had an interesting conversation about setting up drills and how we don't kick out of hand, So I remember before, it was literally drilled into us, if you are a forward, you do not kick. Leave that to the backs. Don't kick, hold on to the ball. It was literally drilled into us. If a ball goes to the ground, don't kick it. Go down on it. No, I think that one's still very true. Dive on it. I think that's true. But coaches would say to you, don't be doing that. Or if you're a forward, don't be trying a fancy pass. Anything like that. And one of these lads that was doing the coaching was saying that, the reason why we don't have more creative crossfield kicks in Ireland is because coaches always tell young fellas, never kick, And we're wondering why we're struggling to produce good young fly halves. If anyone doesn't know, a fly half is kind of like a quarterback in terms of American football, so the playmaker, essentially. But they're the only one allowed to do certain things, and the rest of you just fall in line. You're told, oh no, don't be trying that. Don't be trying that fancy thing. Keep the ball in hand. But then in the drill, and I've experienced this myself, because he said, oh, we teach everyone not to kick. And then he said to us afterwards, in a attacking drill, where we were setting it up, so it was like we had like a 5v3, so 5 attackers, 3 defenders. And we actually scored a try off it, but he was like, why did nobody kick? And I was like, because you literally just said why nobody kicks. It's not our instinct to kick because everybody has told us not to. See what I mean? So, bear with me. But what I mean by that is, it's been drilled into you from a young age. And I remember it, when he said it, I was like, Jesus, yeah, every coach told me not to kick. Everyone. Sorry, I have to show you this. I'll get back to it, but I have to just that. Oh, that is beautiful. Oh, good boy. Carry on. Yeah. My point is with that one, I've played rugby since I was 7, and I was told since 7, you do not kick because you're a forward. And then I've kicked, and it was, oh, why the fuck did you do that? That was stupid. I've done it before and it came off and it worked out well for the team. But it's like, alright, it worked out this time, but don't be doing that again. And you've been drilled and told never kick. That's not what you do. I was like, fine. And then when I started coaching, I did the same, because I was there like, yeah, you don't kick. You're a proper second row, you guys don't be kicking. And look, I think there's some truth to it, because you get lads pissing around, kicking the ball, and it's like, you're not going to be doing it in a game. So I do get that, for sure. And look, you could try it, not have the skill set for it, and just be a showboater. And I don't think that's a good thing. If you're playing a team sport, you do have to play for the team. Again, just have to show you. Sorry, guys. Oh, look at that. Beautiful January day. But don't then say, why did nobody kick? Maybe he was trying to find out why, but I remember coaches saying it. Sorry, someone who just didn't wave or looked at me like I was going to kill them when I just waved at them. Weirdos. It's the countryside, bitch. Another one. What's happened to the beautiful countryside? Well, it hasn't changed. I have to show you. Oh, look at that. Oh, that is so nice. Let me up here and show you. Oh, that is amazing. Look. Yep. But you see how I've been taught that from a young age, so then that's what I carry forward, and I tell the lads not to be doing it. And then we're told, why did nobody look up and kick? There was acres of space. When there's a winger standing out and he's open and there's nobody near him, and it's why did nobody kick? You've been teaching us from such a young age, you've drilled it into us. And in the same way, when we're young, we learn certain things. If they're not adaptive, they're maladaptive. So, we pick up on these things. If I learn that it's okay to be disrespectful at a young age, then I carry that on. If there's no consequences to my actions, if I'm not kept in check, or if I'm told that everyone else is better than I am, that everyone is more important than me, that, my voice doesn't matter as much, I have to be quiet and kowtow to everybody else, which would have been like a particular thing me and my brother talk about, feeling like, we have to make way for everyone else, which I think is a lot of bullshit, and I'm certainly making up for it now, because I'm like, no, fuck you, I'll be pleasant and all to anyone who's pleasant to me, but I'm not playing second fiddle to anyone. You build people up from the ground up, so whatever lessons they learn in early childhood, they can be untaught, but you've got to then work extra hard on doing that. There's too many mouthpieces out there who don't have any balls, that have to have the odds in their favour. They'll only get a job with a family member or a friend. My mate did it, so I did it, that kind of thing. I'm not going out on my own. I'm getting a job in the same place as my mate. So many lads who I hear, I went in to become an electrician because all my mates were doing it. Have your mind of your own. Maybe it works out for you in the end, I don't know. But if you're just told to do what everybody else is doing, not really thinking for yourself, are you? That's not a good way to be. What do you want from life? Let's think about what you're good at and what you might be good at in the workplace, what you might be able to contribute to society. And as I say, I was always told, bite your tongue, bite your lip, whatever, say nothing. Just get over it, stop being such a handbag, stop being a wimp, don't ever... It's not being a wimp or a handbag to say you're not happy with something and being pissed off about it. I hate that attitude. But I have a deep sense of shame if I go, oh, this isn't good enough for me, I can't do that because the conditions aren't suitable. Jesus. And like, there is a good thing to that for sure. I will just get on with the job, but then there's inevitably going to be issues, there's going to be problems and challenges, and because I haven't reported it or whinged and moaned about it, it's seen as, well, you were fine doing it before, so it was obviously grand. It wasn't. We say that in Ireland and it does my fucking head in. I say it, I've even said it, I know I'm a hypocrite, but it'll be grand. We say that about everything. Meaning I couldn't be arsed dealing with it, you know, it's too stressful, fuck it, it'll be grand. And then it goes tits up. Inevitably. So like, yeah, this is a real deep dive into a lot of things, but being taught that you can be anything you want to be is bullshit, you know. It's not based in reality. Like, if you're thick as big shit, you're not going to be a fucking astrophysicist. And if you're a fucking skeleton, you're not going to be a strongman or a heavyweight boxing champion. And like, I mean, you could train at stuff, sure. You know, like, you can put in the training. There's lightweights in boxing who can be good. Maybe that's more realistic, but if you're weak and frail and you're in the gym and you struggle to put on size, you're not going to be good at a sport like rugby or boxing, or at least not in the heavier divisions, you know. You waved, sound lad. Cheers. You know, it was naturally something that me and my brother were good at because we were bigger, heftier fellas, and we're good at carrying heavy loads. So that's kind of like rugby's the ideal sport for lads like us, particularly my brother, like a steam train. But I tried out different jobs, like, as I say, tried security work, pissing about really, like, come on, what you doing? Good boy, you can't cross. Oh, you see if it's okay to go. Yeah, it's okay. Wanna go back? Yeah, no bother. Good boy. Oh, sorry guys, I have to show you this. Boy, just one sec. Oh, look at that. Oh, that is absolutely lovely. This puts me in a good mood, guys. Look at that. Turn that around. Oh, look at that. Isn't that magnificent? Oh, it's stunning now. It really is. Even if it's cold, this is a beautiful day. Got another one that I gave kind of half-arsed wave, I'd say. But sorry, my point that I was getting to before I got sidetracked again by the beauty of Wexford. I know for a fact I would fucking hate to be, say, a bouncer, because it's night shift, which I've done, didn't mind night shift, but let's just say it takes me a while to function. If someone's getting aggressive with me, I take a while to switch on doing a night shift, so a bit of coffee and whatever. I've gotten much better at dealing with confrontation. You know, I think my skills haven't been in confrontational situation. But sadly, that's something, and I mentioned that gear guy. I haven't seen a lot of his videos popping up lately. I don't know if they've blacklisted him or, but a good guy. He liked a few of my comments. But he says it. He said, unfortunately, to get good at confrontation, you can do as many jiu-jitsu classes, but you have to actually experience it, you know. It's different when you're there. And I just know that dealing with those types of people would give me an adrenaline dump. You know, you're constantly anxious. I think I'd be bound to slip up at least once, you know, because it's unpleasant dealing with it even once in a night, but having to deal with it constantly, and that's your job. And let's call it what it is. As a bouncer, you're going to have to confront people. It's just not something I'd be comfortable with. And having done security work at concerts, I know, because that's only a mild taste. Standing around all day, bored off your tits as well. Like, you're bored out of your mind. And you have to go from that to instant excitement. It's not as if there's a gradual progression. It goes straight from, you know, bored and sitting around to, oh, this guy's fucking kicking the shit out of some fella. You have to spring into action now, off you go. I'm like, oh, fuck. My mind just takes a while to adapt to change, you know. That could be autism, you know, like change is difficult, let's just say it as it is. With autism, change is definitely difficult. But, apart from anything, shit job. Pay is crap from speaking to lads. I just did it for free tickets, so you think more fuckers would do it, wouldn't you? You think more lads would sign up to do it. The amount of guys have said, look, just do it with me and I'll get you a free ticket. You only have to do a few hours, and then they never show up. And they'll pay €250 rather than doing it, so that shows you loads of people don't want to do security stuff. But yeah, being in confrontational situations, I know that I can deal with them. And I've had to be polite and talk people down and not let my ego get the better of me, which is a hard thing to do. A lot of men will fly off the handle and get stabbed because they're just too temperamental, too aggressive. Their emotions rule them rather than them ruling their emotions, you know. And that's quite a sensitive and weak thing when you think about it. You know, we think of the tough guy as the guy out fighting and all, but if you always are whinging and crying and losing your head with someone, you're getting offended easily. You know, these guys that'll square up to someone if they say anything bad to them. You're obviously extremely insecure because you can't take someone even slightly criticising you. And that'll be your narcissist or your antisocial or your borderline even. I'm not immune from this. I've been like that before, but I've definitely grown a thicker skin from life experience, because I am to a degree still, but I used to be so fucking sensitive to everything. That's no way to live. You do have to brush off a lot of things, and I agree with that, because people can say whatever they want to you, freedom of speech and all that, but it's just words, you know. I think of it like that, just words. Don't waste your fucking energy. Save your energy for if someone wants to physically threaten you, because you might need that energy, you know. Don't waste your energy on verbal stuff. You might need that energy to fight. So you could bitch and whine and cry. Conserve your energy. I used to do that a lot in rugby games. Whereas, like, if I get dragged into the verbals, which has happened before, I would waste energy and I wouldn't be able to play the game. Now, as I got more overweight and more unfit, I said a lot less. I was like, don't you. Couldn't even get the fucking air into me. Never mind say anything back to the guys. I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm dying. Just get me a pint after the game. But the foundation is the main thing. And if there's no foundation there, we've got to build one. And build resilience. You know, least resilient generation, that's what they say. Understandable, it's true. It has to be said. But there's also a lack of appreciation. Like I was saying, a friend of my mum's was a trainer in a big pharmaceutical company. Trainer, a very important job. Teaching people how to go in and out of the clean room, gown properly, you know, follow procedure. People from a scientific background. Because I spoke about my own experience and it was exactly the same. They got rid of trainers. They had people who were from a trades background, which I have a little bit of experience of dealing with, you know. And to be fair to them, they were a lot more down to earth and sound, you know. But everybody was nice, really, when I worked in pharmaceuticals. everyone really was pleasant, to be fair. Lovely people. I can't really complain about that. I think it was just a case of not training properly, not signing off on trainings correctly and not getting enough time done, you know. We seem to just not want to deal with it. It's like, I don't care if you've been trained properly. Do you see what I mean? The process. It's like, if you win, you're great. But the hard work doesn't even matter, really, as long as you get there, to get the end result. And it's the same with training. I was just told, get signed off on your training, you know, so that you have clearance, so you can do your sampling. But we don't actually give a fuck if you take any of this in, because every single training that I was doing, I was out with my notebook thinking, oh, this is all very important to have to know it all. I was taking notes, making sure it actually sank in. And like, literally bosses and managers were saying, oh, don't worry about that, just keep doing it until you pass. You can even check and see what answers you got wrong, and then you can see what the correct one was and just take it out of that and fill it in the next time. I was like, so I'm not really learning anything. Every job I start, I want to do a good job. And then when I see things just done arseways, I lose motivation. To any employers out there. No, I'm a good employee, but one thing that really... Shut up. One thing that really fucks me up is not getting the correct training. I just feel out of my depth. I feel nervous that I'm going to make a mistake, you know. But I also feel like I've got a responsibility to go, no, I have to do the job. I wasn't trained, but fuck it. I'm being paid. I can't really sit there on my arse and go, oh, I don't want to, or I wasn't trained properly. I'd feel really pretentious if I did that. So I just think there's a lack of care, a lack of teaching. You're expected to just hit the ground running and do the job right, but how are you going to do it right if you're not trained? It seems to just be an attitude thing. Get your qualification, but you don't know anything. Like, even in my job interview, that, like, in all the ones I've done so far, you sell yourself, but it's on techniques that you've been using broken machinery. So what you're really learning, you have hands-on experience of using certain apparatus, but it's not been serviced in like 10 years. So it was arseways training, but you've got to sell yourself. You've got to lie and say, oh yes, I've used X, Y and Z, HPLC, GC, you know, UV Viz. No, I've actually been shown a couple of those things on proper apparatus, but you know, it's a lot of the machinery was broken in college, and so you're not getting that proper training, but you have to go. And I've even had it said to me before, we didn't think your degree would be suitable for this role, but then we saw you had HPLC down on your CV, and I'm like, oh yeah. But I know the theory behind it. Yes, I have used it, but you can't say that. You have to sell yourself and say, I'm great. And it's all just very fake, isn't it? I think before, people would hire you, give you a chance, and if you did well, you stayed. Seems to be the case anyway. If you did well, you stay on. If you got good character. But now you have to have the fancy degree. You have to be very fake and say, I know all this shit that you don't really. And you just learn on the job, pretty much. So I think there's a lack of care. I think there's an apathy in general, and young people are just picking up on that. They're seeing this lack of care, and why should they care if you don't? You know? Like, why should I give a shit if you don't seem to give a shit? I do get it, you've kind of got to go, what do I want? You know, be selfish in that regard, but I also think take advice from older people. They've done it, you know. And I've talked about taking advice from older people, about them thinking, you know, this job is not for you, you'll waste your time doing it. Well, they know more than I do. Is that not having respect for your elders? Oh, sorry. Getting a cold again. Fuck. Oh. Sorry about that. But yeah, to come back onto the question about Gen Z being weak, what is the solution? Proper training, better role models, you know, more men in the home, more pride. Teach people to have more pride in their work. Even like when I see emails from people who have master's degrees, honours degrees, PhDs, and they can't even be arsed to spell an email properly, I'm kind of going, and this is as a young fella, I'm like, Jesus, have you no pride in how you present yourself in your emails? And there's spell checks and all. It's obviously just bang the email out and then send it off. Couldn't care less how it looks. But that's something that I advise. Have pride when you're sending an email and work, you know. Make it look good. Have a bit of pride in yourself, you know. I think teach everyone the importance of the process, not the end result. We do it for maths, you know, you have to show, which is a bit ridiculous, you know, you have to show your work, and that's more important than actually getting the right answer. Maybe we could take that, you know, anyone who's ever done honours maths in Leaving Cert in Ireland, it's all about showing your work. Who gives a fuck what the answer is? But teaching people, put in the effort and you will get the results. If you think to yourself that you're going to put in the work and not get the results, like I have, why the fuck would you try hard? You're learning that you don't get the reward from it. But I have benefited in many ways from working hard, so there is still value to it. But yeah, definitely a lot needs to change. And as I said, if you've got examples of good role models that were for yourself, put them in the description. Put them in the comments. I'd love to hear what they were, give examples, give details as much as possible. Someone might get something from it, you know. I might get something from it. I really hope everyone benefits from listening to this, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Been a longer discussion than I thought, but I think that's because there's a lot to discuss. See you in the next one.